Hello, Camille. It's such an honor to have you as a guest on the Paleo Gardening Expert Interview segment. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Camille Macres is the author of the cookbook Paleogasm and host of the podcast Love and Transformation and the creator of Paleo Cooking at Home video education series. This year, she launched the first paleo cooking show, Camille's Paleo Kitchen. Camille, how would you explain what you do to anyone unfamiliar with your work?
So what I do is I just give you the really simple fundamental skills that you need to do paleo at home for yourself and your family. In my course, as you mentioned, faster, cheaper, and easier than eating out. And through Camille's Paleo Kitchen this year, just showing people that it can actually be really fun. It doesn't have to be so hard. I would say that more than anything, beyond giving people the practical skills to do it is the motivation and the inspiration. And when people come on and watch the show, they say, wow, I'm inspired to do this and I really want to do this now. And you make it so much fun and you make it so easy. And I believe that is what cooking is meant to be. I believe that it is meant to be the pillar, the central part of your family, of your home, of your life, and it is meant to be a joy and not a burden. So I hope that that's what people get when they come to learn from me.
That's good. I remember when we were gluten-free, dairy-free, and then we went to paleo, and I've been cooking at home for years, and I kind of just stood in the kitchen and said, I don't know what to do. And I got online and started searching, and now we eat more awesome foods than we did on gluten-free, dairy-free. I mean,
totally.
It's like,
yeah,
I'd learned to cook with things I had never even brought into my kitchen, and it was so awesome. So,
that was really the same experience that I had. I was also doing gluten and dairy-free for a long time, and found out that I still had adrenal problems. I still had thyroid problems, and I still didn't feel that good, even though I had already been in the health world. I'd already been a chef. I already knew more about cooking and eating gluten and dairy-free than most people. And just like you, when I wanted to eat paleo, I was totally bewildered. And I actually wrote my cookbook, Paleogasm, in the first 3 months I was paleo, just to help. It was like my discovery into paleo eating, and it worked out really well because, like you said, I just began to learn about these paleo ingredients like, tapioca and coconut and almond flour and all of these different things. Baking was probably the biggest thing. But, different ways to make your vegetables more interesting and, the cauliflower rice. But then I went further and it was like, well, what about parsnip rice? What about parsnip and apple with these different spices? And I took all of the foundation I had as a chef and applied that to paleo recipes and with the addition of bone broth, I have to say, because that's been a true superfood for me, I was feeling like a different person after just 4 days of eating paleo. And that was like, wow, Camille, you need to pay attention to this. If you're already eating healthy and after 4 days of this you feel like you've been completely transformed. And so I think for most people, once you're able to really eat paleo long enough to feel the difference in your body, then there's no turning back, which is why paleo is so popular now, because there's just no denying how much better so many people feel when they take grains and beans and refined sugars and dairy and all of that stuff out of your diet completely, beyond just the gluten.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. I feel so good. It's like there is no way I am ever eating that junk again. Even though, whole grains may be good food for somebody, they're not good food.
Not for me.
Not for me either.
Yeah, and it's funny, it's like it's not really even worth having a fight if somebody wants to come and fight with me and say, oh, well, whole grains have all of these benefits and they're this and this and that. I say, well, that's great. If that really truly works for you and your body is thriving, then you should continue to eat that way. I just know for myself and for hundreds of millions of people, that just isn't the case.
Yeah, I agree. So in your bio on the Paleo Kitchen website, you talk about your mission of transforming the lives of 100 million people in your life. So how would you like to transform these lives with your future work?
It's about shifting healthcare into the kitchen and out of the doctor's office. I think I say that somewhere else on some page. And learning that the food you eat is truly, truly the best medicine. I've been just watching this amazing documentary series called The Truth About Cancer this week, and remembering some of the things that I became so passionate about a decade ago, the Gerson Institute for Healing Cancer, and juicing, and all of the ways that food supports you in keeping your health, and then if you do happen to get sick, in reclaiming it. But yeah, that's my whole mission, and that's why I'm also just so excited about learning about what you do with your paleo gardening course, because the food cost can be pretty prohibitive for people. That's one of the biggest things with paleo is they start eating paleo, and it's just, you go to Whole Foods a couple times just to make some paleo recipes, and all of a sudden you've spent a couple $100, and you're like, oh, this isn't sustainable for my family. But it doesn't have to be that way. And even if you're not able to garden, it still doesn't have to be that way. And so in my cooking course and on my TV show, I try to use, even though there's a lot of really delicious exotic ingredients, I try to use the more traditional ingredients that you can find at your supermarket that aren't too expensive, like cuts of meat that maybe are a little bit less desirable. I teach you how to still make them taste good. Root vegetables that are much more affordable. Just how to do it without breaking the bank, because it's hard for people to put out too much more money on their food. Of course, it's important to also reallocate some of your money towards food. Like, I don't think anybody needs as many pairs of shoes or things in their closet as most of them have. Maybe buy less shoes and more organic food, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. And I want to help you to help those people to grow the food. So when they're growing the food, then they can afford, the coconut oils and the grass-fed meats and stuff like that. So I think
totally
put you together. And the spirituality of the garden and the pride in the success, that all just feeds into the lifestyle.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. I just had my first child, and we've been living in San Diego, and I'm actually really eager to leave San Diego, as beautiful as the ocean is, because I just want so badly to live in a home that has a big backyard and mountains and dirt, like dirt everywhere, so that we can have
our house.
Yay! I actually Boulder and Bend are the two places that we're looking at moving, with a detour to Maui, but just because. Yeah, just the feeling of just getting your hands in the dirt and raising my child, growing food with me. It's been on my vision board for 5 years before I had a baby, was a little toddler in the garden with a little shovel. And I just got chills all over my body as I remembered that, as I'm telling you, because that's just, that's the way to live. And, that's the way I want to raise my family, and it really is. It is a spiritual act. It's just beautiful to get back to your roots, no pun intended, of knowing where your food comes from and being responsible for your food, and not just responsible in this, I have to be responsible, but like, wow, I get to grow my own food. I get to know exactly where my food is coming from, and using your system, being able to, I'm so curious to know, like, how do I grow food at home and make all the nutrients suck up into the plant? That's awesome.
I teach you that.
These are the things that I really believe are going to change the world, with just, thinking about the awful pictures of the industrial farming and the ways the animals are being slaughtered and abused, and it's just so awful. But on the flip side, it doesn't have to be that way, and that's why I just was so excited to come on your podcast and support you in what you're doing, because learning to grow your own food is like it's awesome. It really, really is. So anyway, moving on.
You give a child a carrot and he eats for a day. You teach a child a garden and he eats for a lifetime. Think about it.
Amen. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So what are the most common misconceptions of the Paleolithic lifestyle that you hear, and how do you answer them?
Well, as we have already been saying that paleo is necessarily expensive, or that it's necessarily time-consuming. Those are the two biggest things that I seek to address in my work. It can be expensive and it can be time-consuming, but it doesn't have to be. So, as I said, learning a big thing that I am really, really into and have gotten more into since I have become a mom is batch cooking and freezer cooking and getting really a lot smarter about meal planning and cooking lots of food at once. I almost never, even though it's just me and Craig that are actually eating right now for the most part, I always, when I cook something, I don't cook one chicken, I cook 4. And I don't make one batch of paleo chocolate chip cookies, I make 10, and then I make,
nice.
So we have a huge chest freezer. Yeah, last night I finally put the baby to bed and was like, ooh, I want a fresh baked cookie. So instead of having to go and whip out and make a whole thing of cookie dough, I just went into the freezer and got my cookie dough where I knew exactly where all the ingredients came from, and I just popped 6 cookies in the oven. So just reframing that any of that convenience food that you see in the supermarket that's really popular, all that stuff in the freezer section, you can actually make that stuff at home. And we just did our most recent episode of Camille's Paleo Kitchen, episode 13, was all about that, all about freezer and batch cooking and how you can actually make an entire month's worth of meals in one day. So so that really, really helps people when it comes to answering the time question of paleo takes too much time. And then there's other things. Yeah, in episode 3 with Mark Sisson, we debunked some of the common paleo myths just about, is paleo necessarily low carb? No, it's not necessarily low carb. There's lots of delicious carbs you eat on paleo, lots of fruits and root vegetables, sweet potatoes, butternut squashes, all those kinds of things. Just debunking natural sweeteners, and I won't get into all of that here, but we talk about that on the show, which you can find at paleokitchen.tv. But the most important thing for me is the time it takes and how much it costs. Those are the things that I really seek to debunk, and also help people to shift their mindset about how much of their budget should be partitioned to food. The United States per capita, or as a ratio of income, actually spends less money on food than almost any other industrialized country. I think I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I did a whole series on that where you see that the amount of money that you spend on your food is actually pretty well correlated to like a reverse correlation between the amount of money you're spending on your medical bills. So in the United States, we spend per capita, we spend more money on our health insurance and on our doctor bills than almost any industrialized country, but we spend the least amount on food. But then you see countries like, I think it's in France and some other of the Northern European countries who spend a much larger percentage of their income on food than they're spending much less of their income on medical expenses and health insurances. So that, it makes sense to you and I. If you're taking the time to invest in your food every day, then you're not going to have to, go to the hospital for triple bypass heart surgery or for expensive diabetes medications or, all of the things that people end up having to be treated for that just resolve themselves naturally when you eat paleo. So that's definitely something that can be difficult for people at first, but they say that whatever you spend your money on is the thing that you truly value. So if you say you don't have money for food, but you're driving like some fancy schmancy car, or, you know, living in this, you know, this grandiose house with all this beautiful furniture, or buying all of these designer clothes, then you're actually just showing that what you're saying is, I value the car, the house, the clothes more than I value my health. And I know for our family, when things have been tight and when starting a business, you know, we could have been living in a small house and me not shopping for months, and I always prioritized eating organic food, and it pays off. It really does.
Yeah. On Paleo Gardening, our mission is to make the paleo lifestyle available to anyone by inspiring and teaching practical skills. So how would you inspire someone who is just beginning their paleo journey?
Well, I would tell them to go and watch my show because it just is inspiring. People watch it even after one episode, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that it could be this easy." And I went and I tried it once. So what I would say to people is you just have to get started. I have a free guide. If you go to paleowithcamille.com, and that is my Paleogasm Starter's Guide. It's the first chapter of my book, and it gives you the things that you need to get started with paleo. So it gives you a paleo pantry list. It tells you all of the things you would want to have as kitchen equipment. And then it's some other things I can't think of right now, but it gives you the foundation for getting started with paleo. And planning, as I said earlier, planning and preparation is key. So if you are having to like run off to the supermarket every single meal to get staple items, that's not going to be very efficient. But if you can stock your paleo pantry once right at the beginning, and then you just get your organic meats and your fresh fruits and vegetables each week, and then you can just go into your pantry and pull stuff out, then that's going to make it a lot easier, especially to make like fast meals. I love Costco in San Diego. I know that it's probably not like everything is not local, but there is a lot of good quality organic produce there. I can get organic nuts and seeds and coconut oil and dried fruit, and I can get all kinds of paleo things there. And that helps to save money, and then it also means I have things in the house, like when I've done the Costco run. So I find that is super helpful for people having a garden. I mean, if you always have a garden going, then and you have your paleo pantry staples already in the house, you just go out to your garden and pull some high quality meat out of the freezer, and there you go, you have a meal. So it really again it's really all about doing some planning and some preparation. We are so lucky now. When I started eating paleo, there were some people doing it, but there's probably, I would say the amount of paleo resources on the internet has probably grown by 20 or 30 fold, seriously, in like the past 4 years since I've been paleo. And there's so much help available to you. So it's just a matter of getting in, starting it, and getting prepared so that you can have success, really.
Yeah, and I think it's really good for people to get some help in the beginning. I know I had to do that. It was like, oh my gosh, it's Thanksgiving. I don't know how to cook this meal anymore. What do I do? So I had to get online, find some recipes, and it's like, okay, I can do this. Breathe.
Totally. Yeah, I'm so happy that you said that. I'm actually revamping my whole paleo cooking at home course. I was just working on that this morning, and because I created that about 3 or 4 years ago, and since then I've learned so much, and I have added so much to the arsenal. And so, holiday eating guide, very, very important.
Very important.
And adding all of those things to that. So because there's just like different people need different things, but I know moving into the holidays that can be super challenging. How do I make a good Thanksgiving dinner? Well, let me tell you, I have made several Paleo Thanksgivings for people who don't eat paleo, and they don't even know the difference. I mean, really, in Paleogasm, oh my gosh, I have these gratin Brussels sprouts with caramelized onions. Oh my gosh, they're so good. It was a takeoff of a Williams-Sonoma recipe that I used to make for gratin Brussels sprouts that had 3 pounds of Gruyere and cream and panko breadcrumbs, and they were delicious. But I was like, I am going to find a way to make these paleo, and that's pretty much what Paleogasm is. It's like, I am going to find a way to eat paleo and have it be delicious, because I love food way too much to just give up eating things that I love because I have to for my health. I have to have both, and that really was what Paleogasm was all about. And so, that Thanksgiving dinner was so good. I think I made a turkey. Oh, I need to put this in a little guide for people. There was a bacon that I actually shingled bacon over the whole turkey, which kept the breast really, really moist, and then I basted it. This is not something you would want to eat every day, but I basted it with maple syrup. Not straight maple syrup, so then in the gravy, oh my gosh, the gravy was the maple bacon gravy. And then we had those gratin, mommy brain, what was it, Brussels sprouts. And then we had sweet potatoes and garlic green beans and my paleo cornbread, and I actually just finally perfected a paleo pie crust with cassava flour. Have you used cassava flour yet?
I have not. I should.
Oh yeah, it's really good. Yeah, so cassava, I guess it's the root. Tapioca, I learned, is like the entire plant, the root and the top, but the cassava is just the root, the cassava root. And they say that it is as even of a swap for gluten flour as you can find. That may be true. I still am tweaking it, but I've been doing a lot of testing with cassava flour because the holidays are coming up. And man, you got me all excited about the holidays. The moral of the story is the holidays are coming, and there are so many delicious paleo recipes. You can come to my website for it. You can find them on the internet. Do not think that just because you're paleo means that you're going to have a lame holiday. It's like, seriously, I'm just drooling thinking about all of the amazing things I want to make at Thanksgiving this year.
You got me drooling over here, too. I've got to do the bacon turkey thing. We raised about 80 turkeys this year.
Oh, my gosh, you have to.
My name on 5 of them. So it's like, you got 5 different chances.
Perfect.
Something different.
The very, very, very best thing that you can do for yourself, for your quality of life, for the longevity of your family is to learn to cook. Chances are if you're listening to this podcast, you've already been sold on the idea of paleo. But a lot of people who are trying to do paleo are still stuck in having busy travel schedules and working out and being outside of the home a lot. Or just feel overwhelmed. And I understand that because life, I have a 3.5-month-old child. Life feels totally overwhelming at times. But you put your money in the things that are of truly the most value to you. Do what you can to find the money to eat paleo. I can help you with the television show, with resources on paleokitchen.tv. There's lots of people who can help you on the internet. And there are ways to really make it possible, and not only just possible, but actually pretty easy. You don't have to slave in the kitchen every day to eat paleo. There are lots of different ways that I have found over the years to really streamline the process. I have a freezer full of paleo meals right now that, most nights I end up taking something out of the freezer that I made already. I make up a fresh green salad, and maybe we have some fruit for dessert, and that's how we eat, and it's not hard. I spend time in the kitchen because I love it, but it's not necessary to spend a ton of time in the kitchen to make delicious paleo meals that really fuel you. And if you have a family, I think, especially if you have a young family, then you really owe it to your kids to teach them how to cook, to teach them how to garden, to teach them the connection between the food you put in your body and having health and having energy and having mental clarity for your homework and feeling good in your body. These are all things that it's so important, I believe, to teach kids at a really young age, and I believe it's a parent's responsibility to guide their children in that way. And it can be so much fun by just getting in the kitchen, cooking meals together, eating meals together, like bringing back eating around a table as a family, I think is among the most revolutionary things that we can do.
Yeah, I agree. Turn the TV off. Sit at the table. Talk to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn
off the TV. Get off your gadgets, talk to each other, be with one another, and that's how to live.
So where's the best place for listeners to go to learn more about you?
PaleoKitchen.tv. Okay. You can watch all of, we have 13 episodes of the show up right now that are all free. We've had some really amazing guests. We've had Mark Sisson and George Bryant's come on a couple times. JJ Virgin, Tony Federico from Paleo Magazine, Marcy Locke, Trina Felber came on, and we actually made paleo friendly, or we made like paleo for your skin. So we made body butter and toothpaste and deodorant and hairspray. Yeah, all of that we actually made on the show, so you can learn to make your beauty products in your kitchen. That was super fun. So yes, we've done lots of things. We've done paleo on the go, paleo on a budget, other things I can't think of right now. Oh, the paleo batch cooking, like I was mentioning before. There's a lot available, so you can learn all about that and watch those at PaleoKitchen.tv and connect with me there. And then, of course, Instagram and Facebook, Paleo Kitchen TV.
Perfect. So I want to thank you for taking the time to join me today on the Paleo Gardening Show.
Yes, you're very, very welcome. Thank you for all the work you're doing, and I am very excited to support you in how you're educating people about gardening, too. Super exciting.
Thank you. Thank you. We want to make a difference as well. So for those of you listening, to learn more about Camille, you can click on the links in the description below or by visiting PaleoKitchen.tv. So it was a pleasure to have you as a guest on the Paleo Gardening Expert interview, and I'd like you to have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. You too.